right, we are live. Hopefully you guys can hear me properly. We're going to be talking about a little bit of Chat GPT, some real estate, and how I'm using this new AI software to basically adapt. So I'm just going to fix my Zoom camera here because we're live streaming on multiple platforms. Welcome everyone to the chat. So first, we're going to have to introduce Chat GPT. I'm actually going to play a video for the ones at home. You guys won't be seeing this because, or if the ones on IG anyway, you guys won't be seeing this because I'm live streaming on Zoom. So I'm just going to share my screen on Zoom here. For you guys back on Instagram, I'm going to be watching a video by Jordan Peterson here. And he's going to actually explain to us what Chat GPT is. And hopefully you guys can hear this, but let's listen to this first part. You guys pay close attention. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to do this so you guys can actually see. Whoa, so that's pretty intense, right? Like that line there, thinking it's a pretty bold statement from Peterson that, you know, a third of universities will go broke in the next 5 years. Like I have a background teaching, right? And I still consider myself a pedagogue, that is an artist and scientist of learning and education. And I can kind of see that happening, right? Like we see already online, see a lot of these coaching, education spaces, online programs where you can literally, you know, pay less, if not about the same amount as your regular, let's say, education in university or college, but you get way more out of it, right? Like, so I paid about 55 grand in coaching and consultants last year in 2022, and that helped us reach like, you know, $1 million in generated revenue. Okay, so that's pretty serious cash. And I paid, you know, less than what I would pay if I went to university in the States. Now, obviously, I paid more than I would pay for my own degrees. So example, I paid about, you know, 10 grand for my teaching degree. That's like, you know, plus I got some scholarships. But the return on that, you know, was not bad. Like you start off as a teacher making your 55, 60 G's, right? But this Chat GPT and just the ability to ask it questions. So we're going to keep going more into this, but let's watch the second part here. Cool. So yeah, right now it's not using real human data right away. So it's not fully updated. From my understanding, this came out on December 15th, and it's using data up until 2021. So it's not fully updated 2022. However, it's not bad. And, you know, it's this ability to take that data and then put you on to whatever you ask it, right? So later on, I'll be showing you guys how to use this. Malik's in there. Hey, my man. Hey, hope you're doing well. Hopefully Montreal's not too cold for you. But yeah, we'll look more into it, but let's watch the rest of the video here. You guys will see that this technology is pretty insane. Okay, so before we jump any further, I hope you guys know what the Tao Te Ching is, or the Tao, right? So it's one of those ancient books. If maybe give me a wave, give me a W in the chat if you've heard or read the Tao Te Ching. I'm gonna wait for a second. Anybody? So that's got me a little worried, right? Like how is it that we all know what TikTok is, and how is it that we all know who like the Kardashians are, but we don't know this classic text, this ancient text called the Tao Te Ching. So highly recommend you read that. I read it back when I was traveling Canada a little bit. I stayed in Quebec in one of these hostels. And yeah, I basically read both the English and French version. It's one of these books that I'll read every few years, but I highly suggest that you read it. It talks about the Tao or being. It's one of those classics. So like, you know, systems working very hard to steal your attention. Okay, we live in an attention economy. And this is one of those books where you can actually learn to pay attention to the present moment which is highly, highly key, right? I think the average attention span now is like 45 seconds. So if you can pay attention long in 45 seconds, you can be a top 1%. You can be a top performer, which is kind of sad, but you know, that's kind of the world we live in right now, unfortunately. Anyway, back to this. Check it out. So that's pretty crazy, right? So being able to write a full essay in like 4-page essay in 3 seconds is pretty unreal. And you got to think about what are the implications of education. I mean, I think like that, right? Like again, I saw my background in education. Shout out to everyone who congratulated me for being the new president principal at Alliance Real Estate, who's just joined us in here. It's our new coaching company in Winnipeg. Going to take over Canada as well. But essentially, this idea that this chat GPT can write and pump out essays, 4-page essays in 3 seconds. I have made countless pieces of content. Like every morning, I spend about 45 minutes just trying to play with chat GPT. This is what I like to call my non-urgent but important work. Okay, so my whole thing, and this is coming from one of my mentors in the education space, is that if you fail to adapt in education, you will be quickly replaced and you will quickly become obsolete. Okay, so I like to stay on top of this. And now that I'm not teaching in a school, I have all the free time to really hunker down and figure out how these new technologies will help us professionals move forward in the world, right? I think everyone here who takes their work seriously can see and can find, maybe you won't see it right away, but can find a way that chat GPT will not only make you more efficient, but will actually make your life and your work easier. The quick things that really pop into my mind is like repetitive work. Like maybe you can't afford an assistant to write your emails for you, but you can get chat GPT to quickly pump out these texts, quickly pump out any sort of templates you need to make. And really that's what we're trying to explore here. So we're going to jump ahead into the video. I think we're going to, I'm just going to find out my notes here. Cool. So that's pretty interesting in that right now it's kind of acting as just the art side, just the humanity side, where it's putting together basically the works of what we've collected up until 2021 in the knowledge base of the humanities and putting it together. However, it doesn't have the ability to test and do what science does, which is to put out a hypothesis, test against the real world, get real world feedback, and then reiterate as new data is collected. Okay. But Jordan Peterson here says that it will be able to do that, which is pretty crazy. So once it's able to do both the art and the science side, this is completely a disruptive technology is what we call it. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited about this. One, because it's helped me become a little bit more productive. Two, in that this is something that we've never lived through, right? Like I like to compare this to the printing press in that it's one of those game-changing technologies that is just going to change everything, right? I like to call this time kind of like the technological renaissance in that, you know, it's not that technology was invented to the point where new things are coming out. Like I always compare this, like we went from Game Boys in my lifetime anyway, as a kid. I started as a kid with Game Boys, and now we have like iPhones where you can literally run like 7 or 8 figure businesses just on your iPhone, right? Now we're going to have an iPhone and go from an AI, which is literally going to replace a bunch of jobs. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending how you look at it, the idea and the books that I've been reading with AI and like it's called transhumanism. We studied it when I was still in my science degree, talking about back when I was in my bioethics class. But anyway, it's this idea that they thought, you know, AI would replace all the jobs that are, you know, start from labor jobs, then from like retail and move all the way up. And the last that would be replaced would be creative. But right now, what it's looking like is that creative is what's being disrupted first, right? Anyone that's in the writing space, anyone that's in like content creation, anyone that is like in art, like you had that Lensa app that kind of blew everything up. So I think that, and this is just based on my reading of How to Compete in an AI Age. I think that's the book. Highly recommend it. I haven't even finished it yet, but I've gotten so much out of it. But it's just that you might not be able to compete with these things with AI just because it's faster, smarter, doesn't get tired. It can work 24/7. You can't as a human. That's okay. But we need to learn how to work with AI. So anyone who takes their job and their profession seriously, I would highly recommend, you guys spend some time learning about AI, learning how ChatGPT can make your life easier, right? Because, I think, what is it, like McDonald's apparently has their first restaurant with like has no employees. Like that's pretty intense, right? Imagine how much jobs are going to be disrupted from this, right? Or even like deleted completely, right? Especially once it can do what science can do, which is get information, ask a question, a hypothesis, get immediate data through testing, and then reiterate that hypothesis so we get closer and closer to the truth. You guys always got to remember that science is based on a healthy dose of doubt, right? So the father of science, Francis Bacon, basically stated that science can't prove anything, it can only disprove something. And it's in this consistent iteration of constantly disproving X that we start to believe that Y is true, right? So this example is the sun rises from east to west, right? Well, is that true? We say yes, but all it takes is the one day where the sun goes from west to east, and then literally like a bunch of our technology would stop working. The idea here is that just because it's happened in the past doesn't mean it'll continue happening in the future. This is why that whole statement of trust the science is inherently non-scientific. And again, this is coming from someone who is basically like, I have my background in science. HVAC was interesting. I think skilled trades will be last to be replaced by AI. Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right there. Like, AI will help us with estimates. Yeah. Sales material, taking off lists, even making these estimates, making quotes, maybe even being able to diagnose the issue beforehand. But that hands-on work, I think it'd be very difficult for skilled trades to be replaced by that, especially the aspect of skilled trades that I don't think a lot of people appreciate, but there's an art aspect to it, right? It's not just a pure science. There is an art of, being able to manipulate the machinery, manipulate whatever you're trying to make into whatever you're trying to find as a solution. That's a very general way, but great appreciation for the trades there. It's not just a science, it's also an art as well, especially with diagnosis. But yeah, I think I totally agree with that, HVAC wizard, that those skilled trades might be the last to be replaced, or even like, disrupted. I think it's definitely going to help skilled trades with AI. Grande Tronco says AI will be the new Web 4. Yeah, I think so. I think AI is here to stay. And I mean, it's just going to get better and better. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to stop this share on my Zoom. But what I wanted to do is, and this is more so for the real estate investors. So I'm going to go open ChatGPT right now. And so for real estate investors, something we all got to do is market, right? The best marketer wins. Okay, so here I'm just going to go in ChatGPT. You guys can't see it right now, but it's on my screen on my laptop. And I'm just going to write like, make an ad on Facebook for looking for distressed properties to buy as a private real estate investor. So I'm really asking it to make me an ad. Okay, so it's going to pump this out. So title, looking to buy distressed properties. Body, are you looking to sell your distressed property? I'm a private real estate investor and I'm actively seeking out properties that need work. I'm willing to pay cash and close quickly. Please let me know if you have a property that you're looking to sell. Image, it gives me an image, right? It's not really an actual image, but it says, hey, put an image of a photo of a house that needs repair or a banner image of someone holding a for sale sign in front of this distressed property. Call to action, tell them to contact me for more information. Okay, it also gives me some tips here. You may want to include additional details in your ad, such as types of properties you're interested in, single family homes, multifamily dwellings, the geographical area you're focused on. I invest in Canada, Winnipeg specifically, and any other relevant information. You may also want to consider targeting your ad to specific demographics and interests to increase effectiveness. Okay, so that pumped it out in like what? 3 seconds? Okay, it took me longer to read it than for it to pump it out. Okay, now I can just copy paste that, edit it. Okay, I can give it different tones here. So let's go here. So you guys can see here. Whoops. So you'll see here, I'm going to say, great, type this again. Sorry, I'm typing with one hand. Again, in a funny tone. Okay. Cool. So there it is. Whoops. Switch this up, facing me. Cool. So now it's typing it. And again, I'm just going to go my Zoom here so my Zoom can see this. So right now it's typing it out. And again, distressed properties wanted, no judgment here. And it says, hey there, are you feeling a little distressed about the rundown property you've got sitting around? Well, don't worry, I'm here to help. I'm a private real estate investor and I'm on the hunt for properties that need a little TLC. And let's be real, we all have a little bit of distress in us from time to time. So don't be shy. If you got a property that's seen better days and you're ready to say goodbye, give me a shout. I'll pay cash and close quickly. Let's turn that frown upside down and turn that distressed property into a thing of the past. Okay, so a little more, humorous. That might actually trigger some people, but welcome to trigger marketing. And it says call to action, a little more informal, right? Send me deets on your distressed property. Okay. So again, it's just pumping this stuff out. Like, maybe some of that's a little corny, but that's ads, right? Like you're able to pump out these ads very quickly and you're able to create this marketing content very, very fast. So that's the real estate side. Now, I'm immediately thinking as a teacher here. Again, I'm not going to get rid of that teacher side of myself. Once a teacher, always a teacher, but I'm going to ask it a question. So back when I was teaching, I had this thing called the inquiry project. Students would work all year on this project. And essentially I would take the curriculum, which is a bunch of sentences. Student must be able to describe the Krebs cycle, or student must be able to describe the anatomy and physiology of the human digestive system. I would get students to turn that outcome, what the government wants them to learn, turn it into a question, and then get them to answer that question in the form that they want. Some students make essays, some students make collages, some students make videos, but I wanted them to demonstrate their knowledge in the way that they wanted to and was interesting to them, so that now the knowledge is their knowledge, not just regurgitated by myself or a book or someone else. Okay. Now, ChatGPT, I bet you I can take that 1 year long project and then get students to turn those outcomes, is what we call it, those sentences, as what is needed to be solved, and then turn that into a question and then answer that. ChatGPT can probably create that in no time, but I'm going to ask it, can you describe the physiology and anatomy of the human digestive system in order from mouth to anus. Cool. So you can see here, it's already typing it out. Okay. We have, sure, the human digestive system is a series of organs that work together to convert food into energy and nutrients. And it starts going down from the mouth then the stomach, then the small intestine. This is literally doing a kid's homework right there. Now, you might be like, oh, that's kind of cheating. Well, maybe not. Like, will future students be living in a time where they don't have access to AI? Will be living in a time where they have more access to AI? So lots of things to consider. And of course, a lot of this is going to be specific to different professions, but I think AI is here to stay. I showed you guys little ways I use it for marketing in real estate. Show you guys some thoughts and some compelling ideas around ChatGPT, and then how I'm thinking about this if I was still a public school teacher. Now in the private sector, it's a little bit different. But yeah, not cheating. It's how you utilize the tools around you. Yeah, exactly. And then maybe that's just a draft. Like even just reading that, like a student will be able to learn more reading that than they might in class. Like who knows, right? Like it goes. Now, the thing is, it'd be cool if ChatGPT was in different languages, but it's all good. Anyway, hope you guys got some insights on that. Hope you guys got some value from this video. I'm going to be taking off, and I'm just going to shut down the, excuse me. Hey, we can do some Q&A actually. Anyone got any questions, comments, critiques, or concerns? We'll be doing more of these lives. I'm going to try and shoot for 4 a week minimum. I like to use it just to document whatever is going on, help answer some of you guys' real estate questions, investing questions, financial literacy. Here it's just a little bit different. This is just like, general interest. ChatGPT free? Absolutely. Yeah, it is absolutely free. Just Google ChatGPT. It should come up, and it works on your phone too. So like literally half the time, if I got some free time and I'm like, oh, what do I want to do? I'll go on ChatGPT and just play around with it. It's pretty awesome. Pretty crazy stuff, actually. Cool. Any other questions, comments, critiques, or concerns? If not, I'm going to have dinner. Cool. So hopefully that inspired you. Keep thinking of different ways, right? I don't think AI will replace humans, but if you allow yourself to be replaced by AI, it's definitely possible in some jobs. Must reads for beginner real estate investors. Ooh, good question, Sam. Highly, highly recommend The ABCs of Real Estate by Ken McElroy. E-Man says, or Grande Tronco says, happy birthday, Tin. Hey, awesome. She's not here right now, but she says thanks. Yeah, so for you, Sam, highly recommend you read the book ABCs of Real Estate Investing. It's really good in that it just summarizes the lingo that you need to know. What is ROI, how to analyze a deal, different strategies, how you can like market for deals. I really like that one. That's one of the books that got me started. Rich Dad, Poor Dad's good too. That's more so like a mix of mindset and like financial literacy. But there's also not necessarily beginner, but there's some sections of that book. It's going to be a great resource. Is Rich Dad's The Real Book of Real Estate. It's a thicker book. It goes anywhere from regular buy and holds, and there's just a bunch of different real estate investors. And each section, it goes through different types of real estate you can do. So it's people that focus on flipping, BRRRR strategy, tax liens, all this crazy stuff. Not necessarily like, the first place I would start as a real estate beginner. I would start with ABCs of Real Estate, but that book, The Real Book of Real Estate, helps a lot. There's also Campbell's, it's like Canadian investing in Canadian real estate or something like that. But the author is Campbell. I like that one because it's specific to Canada. So it talks about like different strategies and also resources and also tax laws, which you kind of have to become a tax nerd if you're into real estate for the long term. Hope that helps. Anyone else? Questions, comments, critiques, or concerns? Cool. Hope you guys got a ton of value there. Hope you guys take some action. Do not wait and put off ChatGPT. I think this is going to be one of those, technologies. I wouldn't call it social media, but it's like, back then, new social media came out. No one really wanted to be on like Instagram, like, oh, I don't want to do this, weird. Or like TikTok, oh, I don't want to do this, weird. But hey, gonna build a brand. And for everyone out there that wants to build a brand long term, you kind of have to be on social media. So if you truly believe in your service, product, or whatever you're selling, whatever business you have, highly recommend you get on social media and use that, at least to connect with people. But making content around what you do is going to bring eyeballs, and that has been something that's disrupted the whole online business world, right? Like, who knew you could start a whole business just on like Instagram? So here with this, I bet you there's going to be people that start full on businesses just with Chat GPT. So peace out, take care, have an awesome night, and you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for joining, and I'll see you guys next time when we do this live stream. Probably going to do another one tomorrow. But we'll see. Peace.